Hey, it's your boy Denzel with Denzel Sports Takes. Go ahead and turn that TV on. If you love sports like I do, let's tap in. Hey, so we've been officially a few days removed since the WNBA draft. Um, for all us W fans, man, it was extremely exciting to experience it. I can definitely say I feel like the last couple of years it's been moving in the right direction, and I feel like this year is another transitional year as far as the CBA. Players are now going to be touching millions of dollars. You got new TV deals that's kind of touching the surface. It's the 30-year anniversary of the WNBA, which is amazing within itself. I just love that now they're kind of giving more love to more of the GOATs. We got a lot of things happening this year as far as the dynamic of new players. We have the transition to where also we're going to be having a new team in a new city, which really not even new because it's a legendary team, which is the Houston Comets are going to be coming back next year, who is going to be pretty much an expansion team off of the Connecticut Sun. We're going to touch a little bit about that a little later on. We got a lot to dive into in this episode. But let's dive right in, man. Let's talk about the WNBA draft and talk about some of the picks. With the first pick, the Dallas Wings select Ozzie Fudd at the University of UConn, guard. So we knew there were some questions where Dallas Wings were gonna go with this number one pick. Honestly, I felt like in a situation they could have went Betts right here. They really could have went a center. So I had a lot of questions going into the off season, especially between Enrique and Paige. I felt like their chemistry was kind of still off, and especially because both of them can get their own bucket, and Paige is really excellent off the dribble, and so is Enrique. And we know she's going to get her shots up. And my question about that was her usage rate, and also when it comes to Enrique, I felt as though she's a pure shooter. I mean, she's really a pure scorer. She's gonna get her bucket. Both can. But I didn't know if it was going to really work because I didn't know as far as the dynamic of both of them having the ball in their hands and getting it down the court and trying to find ways to score. So I had questions about that. Now, I thought they would definitely need a big to go down there. And then the other thing was okay, will Olivia Miles go number one? Because she's a pure point guard. She's one hell of a facilitator. And in my opinion, man, she's one of the top 5 point guards that were coming into the draft this year. But of course, they went with Ozzie Fudd. I know everybody's talking about the relationship situation. And the day that I'm filming this is actually after the whole discussion happened as far as the press conference and stuff like that happened with them asking the question to Ozzie. And her PR team pretty much, didn't want to answer it. But me, I was kind of in between because I was just like, okay, I understand it's something personal, but it is a storyline to be said about it because we all know that's just something personal that they keep amongst themselves. But in my humble opinion, I feel like honestly, it's gonna always constantly be asked about, and I try to put myself in their shoes too, be in a situation because we've never really had a lot of that. I mean, we've started, well, it's a whole situation with that, and that's to be talked about later on, but it is a difference. It is part of the reason why she got drafted as well to the Dallas Wings. But, I mean, outside of just their relationship between her and Paige, as far as their personal relationship, they do have good chemistry whenever you're at UConn. They played off each other pretty well. But I'm interested to see how they even deal with that dynamic. I am curious to how they're going to play out with that. Because I'm not saying Ozzie Fudd can't facilitate. She can. But I look at her more of a scorer than I look at somebody that's going to be looking to pass. I'm just curious how that's going to work out. Enrique re-signed. She actually took a pay cut so they could build more around the team as well. Because there's still a lot of free agents out there. And, there's a lot of options still out there. So I was curious to see how they kind of run with that dynamic. The number 2 pick was actually Olivia Miles. She went to the Minnesota Lynx. Which is going to be a solid fit for them. Like I said, she's a true point guard that facilitates really excellent. She's like that Chelsea Gray-like player, which she can set the floor really good, set the offense, get the flow of things running, and just finds any way to make those flashy passes like a la Magic Johnson. and it's just really unique with her style of play. And she's well beyond her years, to be honest with you. And it was interesting because when she initially transferred and went into the portal to go to Notre Dame, she went from Notre Dame to TCU. It was some questions there because first off, we was like, well, we thought everything was good between her and Hannah Adago, and we thought everything was solid. But I think she wanted to kind of show that she could really take the reins just herself and really set the tone for a team and not having just a dynamic duo. And I think she really showed that. I mean, she was one of the top players in steals and rebounds, and man, she could average a double-double and dang, they get a triple-double from time to time. She's a very scrappy player too, which I don't think she gets a lot of a lot of credit on her defensive side of the ball either. She will defend as well. And so I thought that was a solid pick. I'm going to be honest because a lot of the overseas players I'm not too familiar with, just being honest. Our fam, I think they drafted her, the Seattle Storm drafted her, center out of Spain. It's always kind of funny it's interesting when players come from internationally into the top parts of the draft because, I mean, it happens in NBA as well, but sometimes you know a little bit of them. Like, even I can go back to when Luka came into the draft and you didn't know much. This is how it kind of felt versus when Wemby came, everybody knew about Wemby. He was a top pick, and it was granted because we had started to see more footage of him over the course of time leading up to the NBA draft. A lot of these players, we really didn't see much of them until like maybe the Olympics. But I mean, to be honest with you, there's only a few players you might have stand out in the Olympics that really showed us. But to be honest, it's kind of tough because Team USA, we dominate in the Olympics. And I know you had the FIBA the championships and stuff like that recently happened. So you kind of see a little bit of them, but I didn't really know much of her. I don't want to speak for everybody, but I think a lot of people probably didn't know much of her. It was kind of interesting, the dynamic. But number 4, the Washington Mystics go with Lauren Betts out of UCLA. Very warranted. Let's dive into this, and I'm gonna piece this together on a later pick that they have because it's gonna really make a lot of sense. It's kind of go back to the decision making of the Mystics, which is a good thing, but also kind of a bad thing to have. But we're gonna talk about that later. This was a solid pick. This to me feels like when they had Elena Delle Donne because they have not had that dominant big down low. And, you know, granted, they do, and she did resign. That she got Shakira Austin. She did resign. But I think now that she's going to play the 4 and Bet's going to play the center position, of course. So that does make things kind of interesting as far as, you know, I would really say as far as the big dynamic. Although I feel like right now the WNBA, it used to be always about the bigs, but now it's guard and forward driven now. So, and I've spoken on this, man, countless times, especially on Twitter. Just some of my friends that love the game as well. The league is turning into a guard-heavy league. And you're going to notice, especially, I'm pretty sure a lot of people noticed going into this draft that this year, it was guard heavy, man. It was heavy on the guards. A lot of guards went in this draft, and the benefit of winning a national championship, whether it's college football, college basketball, and women's college basketball, your players are going to go top 1 and top 2. And the UCLA Bruins made history with having 6 players drafted into the WNBA, and more specifically as far as with the first round. And they beat the record because the record before a lot of teams had was teams having 5 players to go. And this was interesting because I'm a South Carolina Gamecocks fan when it comes to women basketball, and UCLA handed it to us, man. They got the best of us. They dominated us. Gabrielle Jaquez, who she also has a brother that plays for the Miami Heat, shooting guard. She showed her worth in the tournament, and I think it also boosted her ability to go high in the draft, in which it showed. She played excellent, man. She's really good at shooting 3. I think she's gonna be a solid player in the league. I do question, is she gonna play the 2 or the 3? It's a little in between. She might end up playing the 2 for the Chicago Sky. And man, we gonna get into that too, as far as what the Chicago Sky did. But if I'm being honest, um, I actually like that pick. Um, the next pick is with the Toronto. Um, I was kind of interested in this pick because I thought Kiki Rice was a solid guard, but I did not think that she was one of the best guards, in my humble opinion. And I'm being so unbiased. I thought if Raven didn't go this pick, I didn't know where they were going to go with this, but I didn't think she would go higher than Raven. And that was interesting. But I do like this pick still for them. I do like it still for them. This was one of their first picks into the WNBA draft this year, which was really cool to kind of see for the Toronto Tempo. And, I think was also interesting as well because now we're going to be like, okay, and I'm going to get to this next pick as well. Seeing like expansion teams draft their first ever player to the franchise, it's interesting to see what they're gonna do later on. It's like when Vince Carter got drafted. It was just so interesting to see a la Toronto Raptors, so it's really gonna be like a timeline stamp thing, like, okay, we're gonna see how this player is next 10 years and how good they were and will they become a legend of this team. Same thing goes for another team, which didn't know much of this player. She plays in Spain, Ayana Martin Carrion, and she got drafted here, the Portland Fire. I thought Raven Johnson should have went here. I felt as though, especially if they're trying to get a young guard who is going to be able to set the tone for the team, a team leader, vocal leader, and really good at the X and O's point of view, is able to get in the chair, play defense. Raven can play 1 through 4. We've seen it in college. She is not afraid to play against the power forward, the point, like anybody. The only position she really, is not going to guard is the center position, but 1 through 4 she can guard. And I thought she should have went here. It's an okay pick to me. Like I said, I haven't watched much of, who this player is out of Spain. Me personally, I can't remember the last Spain player that played really excellent coming into the W as far as that point guard position. Somebody correct me and understand, when was the last person, but it's been a while since I see somebody really dynamic come from Spain and be a solid point guard. And I'm not talking about like early 2000s, I'm talking about like 2010 era, like even 2015. It's been a while since I've seen somebody dynamic like that. This was crazy, and we're gonna talk about later how this was crazy. You know what? Nah, let's go ahead and talk about it now. So Flau'jae got drafted. Hey, put your foes up, Flo. She out of LSU got drafted, and the Valkyries, Golden State Valkyries. Now we know this is nothing new. The Golden State Valkyries, based upon what they did last season as an expansion team, and expansion teams don't typically do that well coming to the league and starting off. They built their entire team around being excellent at defense, and they can still shoot the 3 at times as well. But they put their signature on defense, and nobody gets better than this with Flau'jae Johnson. I mean, she's a two-wing player. She's a two-wing player, a two-way player, excuse me. And she can play defense. She's fiery, can be streaky. When you need a bucket, she can get you. An excellent team leader. I felt her going to the Bay would have been perfect because we already know Flo, not only just a basketball player, but she's also a rapper. She she makes music. Like she can flow. Imagine her with E40 on a song. And I'm not saying it can't happen, but imagine she was in the Bay and this happened. So we go love in the draft, and Kathy Eckerberg comes up. We have a trade. I'm like, huh? We got a trade? Now, I was thinking in my head, when is this going to happen? Because in the W, there's not a lot of times that a team would trade up. It's not like in the NBA draft or NFL draft that they trade up, or, a player gets their rights signed to another team and they get traded, It happens all the time, So, or a team trades for picks or whatever, into the draft, trade up or trade down. It doesn't happen too much in the WNBA draft. Maybe once or twice. So, we wait till Kathy Eichelberg says who gets traded or whatever. And she said Flau'jae gets traded the rights to Seattle Storm. I said, what? I said, what? I said, why would they do that for? Like, you got the perfect player that fits your system. Why would you do that? And context, another thing. We all know what happened through the offseason with Kathy Eichelberg. And I'm be honest, I'm not too fond of her being commissioner. I think she holds the league back, and she's very tone deaf on basically different things, especially like how they're trying to up the ante of making things better for players, especially like throughout travel. Because let's remember, this is outside of just being men; they're women, so it's a different structure of things too. Some of these women have kids, they're married, and out of respect, different things that, within their body is different than men that they have to deal with. So there's things that they're trying to help the players as well. And for her to make a comment to say as far as, she didn't know, she thought that they had ways to help with kids and stuff. I'm like, have you not been speaking to the players amongst your players association and all those different relationships that are brought amongst and the conversations they've had? Like, to me, she's not the person to move the needle. I believe they need a former player to be the commissioner. I've been speaking on that. I really fully believe that. One person that I would put their hand in the hat, if they wanted to do it, would be Miss Swin Cash, who's a former legend in the game, former, Hall of Famer, legend in college. Swin Cash would have been perfect. He's already worked amongst organizations. She worked with the New Orleans Pelicans in the NBA, helping Zion amongst some things that, the early part of his career at first. But to me, she would be perfect. Another player to me who would be perfect if they were interested, which she got dealt dirty because she should have had the head coaching job with the Wings, was Miss Lisa Leslie, who was another legend. Now, I know she made comments saying that, she, because of how that situation happened, she don't want to deal with as far as now coaching. But, Lisa, I would love if you would ever try to become the commissioner. Because I have to double check and see how long the Commissioner Eichelberg has a job left of. But I'm sure that contract hasn't restarted yet, especially after the CBA. So I'm just saying. But the reason why I felt it was dirty because she made a comment saying, oh yeah, let's get on with the draft. Like, no, you're not going to minimize a epic trade like that, who is a heck of a player that just got traded. Any trade, not even just Flau'jae, any trade. You just don't make a comment to belittle that situation. I felt that was very rude, and I also felt that took away the moment a little bit. But you know what? It didn't take away the dynamic. That's also, listen, this was so funny and cool. Flau'jae's little brother took over the show. I'm sure everybody's seen it on social media. It was hilarious, and it's so funny because I've had little cousins, and like I'm sure everybody's had family members, and it's always that one kid that's just very like kind and just like they have all the energy in the world, and they just find some way to uplift everybody's spirits, and it just makes everybody smile. It's amazing. It was funny when he took off the hat and all that. And then later I found out one of the players, when she got drafted, he actually hugged her dad, and her dad interacted with him and hugged him because he was getting emotional as he saw his daughter drafted. And her brother went over to hug him and stuff. I thought that was so awesome. He just stole the show, honestly. It was crazy to see. But yeah, that was a crazy dynamic because honestly, this works out for the Seattle Storm. And also looking at the details, the Seattle Storm wanted Flau'jae. They just didn't have a high enough pick to get her. So they was like, hey, we got to trade. Hey, it's on the table. Golden State want to trade her to us? Perfect. And then she arrives in Seattle. The fans love her. Even when the trade happened, they showed footage of the trade. Man, fans was turning up and stuff. Man, listen. That's going to be dope to see. That's going to be dope to see her in Seattle. I think that's going to be a nice pick, man. So we get into the draft. We get into the nitty-gritty. And I'm going to go to another pick that was warm to my heart. I talked about this player earlier. Hollywood Raven Johnson. Raven, as a fellow South Carolina fan, we love you. We appreciate you. We're going to miss you. Them was some wonderful 5 years that you played with us. Man, listen. You're talking about a definition of a player that will give you everything they got. Everything they got. That is Raven Johnson, man. She's had one heck of a story since she's been at South Carolina. I know ever since the wave off, man, she got back on her feet, back on her grind, turned things over to a new leaf, became the dynamic player that we need at South Carolina. Listen, I know it's a lot of talk because she got drafted by the Indiana Fever, and it was so hilarious, and then certain things that was talked about, because we know that's not how, elephant is in the room. We all understand the situation that happened back in college with her and Caitlin Clark. And unbeknownst, not themselves, but based on Caitlin Clark, trained as far as her fans and, the racism that ties into it. And not that Caitlin Clark tried to draw so much of that in, but it was a lot of the things that happened and transpired with that. And I know people feel some type of way with Indiana Fever drafting her. But even their head coach even spoke on, they needed a guard that could defend. They needed that. I know they had Sydney Colson. I love Sid. I wish we kept her at Vegas, but glad what we got. We're gonna talk about that later. But I truly believe that this is really a good, solid pick for them. Because here's why. Like I said, they needed a defensive pedigree type of player. And if you look at their roster, in my humble opinion, I'm going to be honest. If they could really do something, now I think she's going to come off the bench to start the season. But, hey, I'm looking at rosters and things like that, and I'm going to keep it a bean. Why not put her at the 1? Her at the you put CC at the 2. You put Mitchell at the 3. Listen, you got AB down low. I think they could really do something. I truly believe that, man. And so, Indiana main thing is just staying healthy. That's what killed them last year. They had a lot of injuries. They dealt with, and I'm really surprised they didn't re-sign Odyssey Sims. We're gonna talk about that because anybody that knows me, I love me some Odyssey Sims. Not to get off track, but I've loved her since she was at Baylor. I'm gonna keep you right there, and I'm gonna talk. Man, listen, I love me some Odyssey Sims. Yeah, I love the guard position anyway, but I love me some Odyssey Sims. And she signed as well this offseason. She recently just signed with a team, and I think anybody that knows Odyssey Sims, man, she's a dynamic player. She got them a pivotal moment into the season with them, helping them get out the dynamic, and it's important to have veteran players like that. And she actually signed back with the Dallas Wings, who she was with for a little stint as well. And that's kind of interesting, honestly, because that's actually where she was initially drafted to. Man, that's crazy. But yeah, me personally, I thought that was solid. The next pick is Cody McMahon. Let's say no more. Cody is very interesting to me because she is a player that I feel like she is going to be really good at being dominant and aggressive, and she can get to the basket, she can pull up, she can shoot. She also is really good at facilitating. She's really a player that can play the 1 through the 3, because she's at times Ole Miss had her, Coach Yo had her playing the point guard position. Me personally, I will keep her at the 2 or the 3. She's really a 3 to me. She's like a wing player because the way she's built, she can just she can be aggressive at the rack. She can take on contact, especially her being 6 feet, which is kind of crazy because she looked taller. I mean, I seen her play here in Greenville, the SEC tournament, and she looked a little bit more taller than 6 foot. Like she looked 6'1", 6'2" ish, But that's just me. But I thought that was really interesting. Pair her and Betts together is going to be really excellent. Now, this is where I'm going to talk about and get to the nitty gritty on some things, because the Washington Mystics got some questions. Now, we all know what happened to Aaliyah Edwards, and she got traded because the Mystics had a lot of shifts in as far as when they drafted Kiki Arifin. They had a lot of uncertainty as far as lineups because she lost minutes because of Kiki. And that's nothing against Kiki or nothing against Aaliyah, because Kiki's that dang good. And so is Aaliyah Edwards. We've seen that in Unrivaled, and we see that throughout the season. But it's tough because she dealt with injury a little bit, but she couldn't get any minutes in the lineup. She couldn't. And of course, at the time they had Bones. Bones was getting off. She getting her shots off. I'm really trying to figure out what they're gonna do, because, of course, Shakira Austin just resigned. So are they gonna put her at the 4, which I talked about earlier? Because she can play the small forward position. She's a big, but she can really, she's a 5. She's a 4 or 5. But they probably gonna put her at the 4. Okay, let's just talk about this roster. And another player I'm gonna circle around about is Warrior Harmon. They drafted her as well in the 3rd round, but we're gonna circle back to that. Just looking at some of the players in this roster, I had to even realize that they even got Madison Scott, which was an excellent player for Ole Miss a few years back, and she is another bucket getter too. I don't know what the heck they're gonna do with her. Like, I'm just looking at this roster. You got Georgia Amore, she tore her, I believe it was her ACL, matter of fact. I believe she tore the ACL doing training. Literally, and it's nothing I'm talking about later, but she tore her ACL. That was a big thing that happened. She's going to be coming back stronger, and we seen what she did at Kentucky. She's an excellent guard, You got Sonya Citron, who's really the face of the team, I would say. Excellent guard out of Notre Dame. You got Lucy Olsen, which I believe she had got injured as well, and I think she's going to try to come back for her position. Of course, you got Kiki Arifin, who's one of the other superstars of the team. Like, they got a lot of forwards and guards on this roster, and I'm just looking like, okay, it's only 12 slots. Now, I know the WNBA added, quote-unquote, like 2 spots for injuries or whatever the case may be. I thought this was the perfect year to add a 15-woman roster, because you got so many great players fighting for a 15-woman roster. And yes, you have expansion teams coming over time. I know you got a team coming to Philly. Like I said, you got the Houston Comets. You have another expansion team that's going to be coming as well. Need more expansion teams in the South. Charlotte Sting should have been back. But what are you going to do? Because this, like I said, it's not so many roster spots on the team. So what are they going to do? What are they going to do? Like, I mean, that's a whole lot. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do over time with the rosters. I'm really curious of what they're going to do with everything over the period of time. That's going to be the interesting thing to see in this off season. Because the WNBA, they don't have a lot of preseason games either. I think it's over. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. I believe it may be like 8 to 10 games they got in the preseason. It's not a lot before the season starts. But it's not a lot of time, because literally these girls get drafted. They get drafted, and then a week later they start camp. And then, right, so you're still building chemistry. That, to me, is kind of tough. And that's why a lot of teams need their own facilities. Because the WNBA season starts during the summer. So it's almost like you got to get in until you fit in. I got to go to my fellow USC, Badina Okot. I thought, and I talked about this with one of my friends as well, I thought it was interesting that Atlanta Dream drafted it. I thought it was great because they needed a center, especially after losing BG, Brittany Griner. Badina Okot, I thought she kind of looked unhappy because she was drafted. And if anybody knows her story, she was trying to get an additional year of eligibility because, mind you, she only played 2 years overseas. And I don't know why the NCAA counted that as her college years, which makes zero sense to me because that doesn't equate the same. and she had to learn the ability of playing like in America and learning everything in Dawn Staley's system as being a big. And lately Dawn with her centers over the course of years that we've noticed, she's had her bigs be able to shoot the spread the floor and shoot the three outside of just being in the post. And that's what we see in the dynamic of her game. But I do feel like, especially in the national championship game, it exposed some things. Not to dismantle Okot, but I do feel like she needed an additional year just to learn how to defend in the post and also score in the post. I felt like it would do her a lot of good. And I believe she believes that too. I think that's why, not to say she was unhappy, but just her body language showed like, this is amazing. I'm glad to be here, glad to be on stage, glad to be drafted. But I wish I had another year. And I wish she would have too. It would have been amazing to see her back with us for another year. I would have loved for her to be another year. I think I speak for the majority of South Carolina Gamecock fans. I'm sure Dawn wanted her to have another year, but unfortunately NCAA didn't grant her another year, so she had to go enter herself in the draft, and she had to be drafted. So her going to the Dream, I thought was excellent. Dream is one of my sleeper teams. I've been saying this since last year, and the trade of trading and getting Angel Reese, who is a double-double queen, who has the ability to defend really excellent interior and also sees the floor really good too. Has really good ball skills, and she worked on her layup game, as we've seen it in Unrivaled. Especially, she had dealt with a little bit of an injury, but she came back and played really excellent for the Rose. So that team's going to really be exciting to watch. You got Ryan Howard, you got Brianna Jones who re-signed, you got another fellow, Alicia Gray, South Carolina great. That's going to be excellent to watch. Pow coming off the bench. It's going to be amazing. So we're going to get to the second round, which the second round to me was very interesting as well. A few picks in there. The few picks that I really want to talk about to dive into, Tonight Latson. Tonight Latson might be the steal of the draft, ladies and gentlemen. And this is why. I don't think it should have even did anything to her draft stock going to us at South Carolina. Mind you, at Florida State, she was averaging 20 plus. And, she sat down and said, you know what? My homegirl that I played with in high school, Raven Johnson, she played at South Carolina. Head coach Dawn Staley. And I like what they do. But I want to open and expand my game a little bit more. I want to show that I can defend more. I want to show that I can facilitate. I want to show that I can play in a team dynamic amongst other great players. And also hold my own. And if they need me to go get a bucket, I can still go get a bucket. Don't get it twisted now. I may not be averaging 20 plus, but I can still go get a bucket. And she showed that. In my humble opinion, she should have still been a first-round pick. There's no question about it. Tonight Latson is a bucket getter, and she can do everything that you need at the two-guard position. And I asked myself, I said, wow, they really got Tonight Latson. Now, let's go look at the Sparks roster right now. You got Sanaa Fagan, fellow South Carolina Gamecock. Excellent. I think she's going to make another jump this year because she's going to get more minutes at the forward position. You got Nneka. I'm sorry, I missed the last name, but look, this is a legend within herself. Nneka, because first of all, Nneka did her thing for the W. For her and a few others did their thing for the W as far as trying to get the CBA passed. She goes back to the Sparks, which is the team that she started her career with, which at some point when she retires, her jersey will be hanging up in L.A. She goes back there. That's going to be interesting. Dearica Hamby, fellow Las Vegas ace. Hey, when she gets hot, she gets hot. A forward that can get dirty and grindy, get some steals, defend, shoot the mid-range pretty excellent. Good free throw shooter as well. Ariel Atkins, who actually got traded to the Sparks from the Chicago's, this was part of an interesting thing for me because Era Atkins with the Chicago Sky was really good, and I thought Chicago Sky would get her back, but they didn't. But she ended up going to the Sparks. Plum Dog, Kelsey Plum. I believe she's going to retire with the Sparks. She's going to be a Hall of Famer in her own rights at some point. Streaky. By the way, man, does anybody ever have a problem guarding her on 2K, man? I'm sorry, because, boy, I tell you, Kelsey, you just got to let Kelsey do Kelsey things, bro. And all I can do is just try to stop the three. But that's another conversation. Yeah, I can slide it in there. But Ray Burrell, we seen what she did in the Unrivaled. We seen what she's done in the league. She's another player that is exciting to watch, and she can be streaky. And there's a lot of players that just they don't get a lot of recognition, but they're really good players. And I think this past year, she's been talked about a lot more. Ray Burrell is really good, y'all. She's really good. I want more people to watch her and really watch how she plays the game. She's going to be another exciting player to watch. Erica Reeler, if you know, when she was with the Fever, when she had that run, when she was in the All-Star game, I think she's a forever loved player. She's one of those guards that everybody loves, like a Courtney Williams. Like, Erica Reeler is a bucket getter. She's really excellent coming off the bench. And, dang, it's hard to believe she's been in the league 10 years. That's crazy, right? Because I know she dealt with trying to get a roster spot for numerous of years. And I know she played a little bit overseas as well. You got Cameron Brink, who's going to come back, another young star. I'm just looking at this roster, and the Sparks actually could be a good team. Now, the trade that I was speaking of with Eric Atkins, they traded, of course. I was kind of confused on that too, in my humble opinion, because I was just like, why did they trade her? And I'm sorry, I kind of got full of loss for words, because I'm like, why would you trade one of your best players? Like, I did not understand it. And we're going to talk about the Chicago Sky roster in a minute, too. Rickea Jackson. Rickea Jackson was the person who got traded for Eric Atkins. Yeah, that was kind of shocking to me. When I seen news that she was in trade talks, I'm like, how? How is she in trade talks? Like, you just one of your young stars. I don't know, but we're going to talk about the Chicago Sky, matter of fact, in a minute, too. Yeah, so, like I said, tonight Latson, man, that was excellent for the Sparks. I'm going to love to see that and see what she does. This was an interesting pickup. The Chicago Sky got Latasha Lattimore. And my bro, Justin, we went to the game. You can vouch for this, bro. We talked about it. She is another streaky player. Like, when she really gets going, she is hard to stop. And she showed that at Ole Miss. I thought that was a really interesting pick for them, especially the roster that they constructed over there with Chicago Sky. Matter of fact, let's go and talk about it. Like I said, we're looking at the roster right now, and I'm liking it. First off, let's start with Miss Skylar Diggins. Sergeant Skylar Diggins. Listen, she gonna get them straight. Listen, she ain't gonna be playing around. Listen, and it's crazy because the GM and them want to get stuff together now since they traded Angel. But Angel was talking about, hey, we trying to get some better things so we can build a better scope of team, and entirely as far as coaching and all that ties in. And now they're gonna trade her, and now they get better pieces. I'm like, bro, why y'all like? Of course, they drafted Gabriel Jaquez. Man, they still got Haley Van Lith. What are they gonna do with Haley Van Lith? What are we doing? Like, cause you drafted her initially to be like a star point guard, and then I think she struggled along the way. And coming into the league, and it was just a lot of like X's and O's situation that was the cause of everything. What are they gonna do with her? Or is she gonna come off the bench? Dejanay Carrington signed with the Sky. We already know what she do. You know what I'm saying? She a wing or shooting guard wing that can defend. She can score. She can do the little things that you need as far as getting steals, cookies I like to call them. That's gonna be interesting. Camila Cadosa. I felt bad for Camila at first, but then seeing the roster that they're constructing now, I'm like, Camila, you've been doing your thing in Brazil, and hopefully they can, utilize her as a true big, and like I said, she's a person that Dawn had also, that Dawn pushed to start shooting the three. She does have to continue to work on her mid range, but I think she could really be a double, average a double easily. Excuse me. And I'm interested to see what direction they move with her. I believe she can be a star player for them if they utilize her correctly. I just hope they don't waste Camila Cadosa. I really do. It's unfortunate her and Angel didn't create that Twin Tower thing. It would have been cool to see. But moving forward, I do believe she's going to be excellent. Courtney Vandersloot re-signed. She's a three-point god. But, listen, you're talking about a two-time three-point champion. Two-time, three-time three-point champion. Excellent. This was interesting because the Sparks lost Azuri Stevens. She's been a consistent player since she came out of UConn. A solid four. I don't think she gets talked about enough because she's not super flashy. She's going to get the buckets as it's there. She's always been an excellent player. It was kind of funny seeing because there's a TikTok I came across. It was Rakia, it was Paige, and it was Team USA this offseason. And they were talking about it. The TikTok very shortly was basically like, who's the most talkative person, who can't keep a secret, whatever. And they were saying Zuri is a very talkative person. She's hard to quote unquote shut up. So it was so hilarious seeing everybody say that about her. But no, seriously, she's a good, solid person off the court. And I believe, honestly, she's going to do really good with the Chicago Sky. Like I said, again, that was interesting, her sign there. And I go, I do question, is Tyler Marsh still the best head coach for Chicago Sky? I mean, like I said, I jokingly said, but no, seriously, we know whether that hair is in a ponytail, a puff, whatever crazy thing, or crazy, whatever style that Miss Skylar Diggins got. Oh, she ain't gonna be playing with y'all. She's one of those point guards that's gonna get y'all straight, man. It's like CP3 back there, she ain't gonna be playing around, man. She a person that be like, hey, you everything, and she ain't afraid. You know what I'm saying? She ain't afraid to do that. She all about the squabbles if she got to. She don't be playing, but I love Skylar Diggins, man. Since one of the Dame days, I love Skylar Diggins, one of them true point guards. You feel me? So, it's gonna be interesting to see what the Chicago Sky do as well. Let's get to the next pick, man, that I want to talk about. That I find interesting. I want to talk about my aces drafting Janae Barker. I think this is an interesting pick because I have been talking about, especially, how things transpire for us. We lost Nye to the expansion draft, and we needed another forward after that. We needed somebody that could play the wing position, defend, shoot the three. And she can get her own bucket too. I noticed that about her game when she was at Tennessee. And I'm glad we got that pick. While I have the time to talk about that, I'm actually going to talk about that a little later as far as the aces. I want to kind of finish things off with the draft. And we're going to go into the third round. We're going to talk about some picks that were interested in that realm as well. If I'm being honest, The main pick that I want to talk about in the third round was Miss Rory Harmon. When I talk about point guards, which is one of my favorite positions, this is one of them we're talking about. We're talking about the SEC's best. The best. Like, when it comes to Rory Harmon, she can get it any way she wanted. Like, and I mean that as far as she is not afraid to play, like, get down and dirty, get the steals, get the rebounds, facilitate, score when needed, get a layup amongst defense in the paint, anything, shoot the three, come off a screen, get a charge, anything she needs to do, she will do it. Anything the team needs, she will do it. And her dynamic with Booker was excellent. And Booker is going to be excellent when she comes out. Now, that's KD right there. That's the way her mid-range shot is, even though she went 35 at Texas. That's KD. Mid-range shot, everything. Now, I know she was a little off in the tournament, but still, she's going to be solid. But to get back to Ms. Rory Harmon, I literally told my bro Justin, I feel like she's going to be undervalued and she's going to go undrafted because of her height. She's 5'6". But I mean, there's been some small guards that really play excellent. But like I said, I go back to the Mystics. I think this was a perfect pick for them. But it goes questions because you got a lot of guards on the roster. And I feel that she's probably going to be cut. I will hope she makes the roster. But I feel that she's going to be cut just because of how many players they already have in the roster. And Georgia Amar ain't going to give up a spot. She ain't gonna give up her spot. So it goes to question, like, okay, how is this gonna work? How is this gonna work? Now, I would hope that she gets picked up by a team if she does get cut, but I'm not gonna risk that on her. I'm just thinking, in my opinion, what may happen. I don't want that to happen because I really love Rory Harmon. In my humble opinion, I feel like the best point guards this year was Raven Johnson, Olivia Miles, and Rory Harmon. Those were the three best guards, like best point guards that were pure point guards that could score a bucket, but also facilitate, set the tone for the team, bring the ball down the court, and see what's what. Those are the pound for pound best three. Put it in however order you want to put it, but those are the best three to me. I'm just saying. And so for her to go to the third round was disheartening, but it tells you, like, there's so many excellent guards coming into the draft, but to me, there's no question she should have been, if not the first round, at least the second round. At least the second. But I was so glad to see her drafted. And her head coach talked about this. There was no reason why she shouldn't have been up for Best Defensive Player of the Year. All-world, all-SEC player. Great defensive pedigree. All the things that you need out of your guard. And a lot of people don't see the other side of the basketball, especially when it comes to the first couple of positions, which is point guard, shooting guard, small forward. Well, a lot of people, when they watch basketball, or a lot of the great players that you see them offensively, I like to see both sides of the basketball. And someone that can be a two-sided basketball player, I think it extends things even more for a team because it helps them along the way, especially when you get in tighter games where you need somebody to be able to get down. And every player is not going to be that player where they can sit down and cheer and lock down every time. But at least you can cut your player from getting an easy layup and moving left and getting an easy layup instead of moving out the way or just giving that up real quick, And she's a player that's going to get down and get them steals, man. So I wish the best for her. I want the best for her. I'm really going to be hoping that she makes the team. It's just, I feel that there's just so many guards in that roster. It's going to be tough. But like I said, I still feel like it's a solid pick. But I'm not sure if she make the roster. But that's overall what some of the picks that I felt that was very interesting amongst the draft. Let me know in the comments, after the video, what y'all think, some solid picks. I want to get into some last but not least kind of things as far as some roster dynamics. I spoke a little bit about them within. I want to touch on my Las Vegas Aces. Y'all, something big happened. Something big happened. Rolled in the money. Rolled in the money. The money. Listen, I've been a WNBA fan for so long. Man, shout out to my aunt. She's the person that put me on to WNBA. I've always been a fan of basketball. I've been watching the WNBA since I was a kid. I've always been a huge fan of it. I always wanted things to move in the right direction. In fact, I'm a marketing major, so I would love to work for the sports marketing team. Just a shout out to that. But in particular, man, I always had hope for two things in particular. There's a couple things that I even talked about as far as roster expansion. But the biggest thing was for them to be able to make more money and marketing as far as on TV channels and hopefully going back to NBC, which they are this year. And shout out to Cheryl Miller. She's going to be one of the head analysts on there for color commentary, which perfect that they chose her. Interested to see who else they add on that panel. But Miss A'ja, last name Wilson, GOAT already. 4 MVPs, 3 championships, working on the 4th championship. Man, this was amazing to see. So A'ja signed a 3-year deal for $5 million Supermax contract. She signed her for the Supermax, which we already had new idea that she was going to sign for the Supermax. What we did not know it was going to be $5 million. We thought it would be like $2 million, $3 million. We did not know it was going to be $5 million. And I'm glad she got her money. Listen, there's, of course, we already know that Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese moved the needle of the game and brought more draw to the game. But when it comes to the best player in the game, it's A'ja Wilson. Man, listen. If you know basketball and if you love basketball from an X and O standpoint, there's nothing she can't do. There's nothing A'ja Wilson cannot do. Man, listen. It's amazing to see as a fan watching the game, fan of the team. And I became a Aces fan because really it was because of A'ja, but also I'm a huge Chelsea Gray fan. Like I said, I'm a big guard person. But A'ja Wilson is the face of the league. I think it's her, and then it's Fee Sikali. And we're gonna talk about because Fee got paid today too. Matter of fact, she signed a max for 1 year, which I find interesting. She signed 1 year, but moving the needle. And then the shout out to what Nike is doing with her advertising. And she's went on this tour overseas as well, as far as the new line of shoes that she's bringing in for the A2s. And the A1s was already on point. A2s, I still like the A2s. A2s look solid, so I'm curious of what colorways it's gonna be looking like. You can tell pink is her solid color, and you know she AKA the pink and green, but mainly the pink. Man, listen, I'm gonna talk on it. We coming for that 4th one. And we stepping foot for that MVP, for another MVP. You feel me? But we just got paid that paper, the Supermax for 5 years. Stop playing with us, man. Listen, bad. Let's go. By the time she retires, she gonna be the GOAT, bro. She gonna be the GOAT. But Miss A'ja, last name Wilson, got paid, man. Let's clap it up. That's clap it up. That's clap it up, man. I just spoke on the Fisher Collier. She signed a 1-year deal for $1.4 million for the Supermax. I'm interested to see why she only signed a 1-year deal. The Lakers were kind of shaky this offseason. They ain't do a lot. You know, they lost one half the stud buds. You know, and you know, I was curious to see what they were gonna do this offseason. They really didn't do a whole lot. They didn't. Like I said, they did a little bit in the draft. They didn't do a whole lot. You know, just looking at their roster, there's some questions. And they did get Natasha Howard from Indiana Fever. They did get her. They kept Courtney. Nia Coffey re-signed. Kayla McBride, who I think she's gonna be a Hall of Famer as well, who's a fiery still bucket getter. She's been in the league 12 years, which is crazy as well. I remember when she was with San Antonio, when they were still in the league before it became the Aces. Man, I don't know, man. They lost some pieces. I don't know, man. It look a little shaky out there in Minnesota. I don't know, but Fee is right behind Asia. Is one of the best pad players in the league right now. I am interested to see what they do next with that team as well. The next player that got paid was AB, Aaliyah Boston. She got paid $6.3 million. So she actually got paid more than what Asia got paid actually. I know people got questions like she got paid that much and all that, but remember this is a #1 pick too, South Carolina Gamecock, and she's a pivotal piece for that team, by the way, especially pick and roll that her and CC runs. On point. So no question she had to get paid, especially after what she did this past season. I feel like she took another step as well this past season as well, and going into the playoffs, especially with all the injuries that they dealt with. I thought it was pivotal. So she signed that deal for 4 years. She signed that Supermax. She signed that deal. I thought that was excellent that they locked her in. I want to see a little bit breakdown of some of these contracts as well later on, that I'll dive in over the season. Kind of just seeing if there's any incentive base. I know a lot of it's, some of it's guaranteed because they are working on guaranteed money. But the thing is to keep in mind that now the league is going to have to think about as far as cap space. Now they have to touch on that. Now these women are now making millions. Now you're going to have to deal with cap space and how you fill these rosters up based on cap room. So that was interesting to see as well. Those were some of the things that's happened over the last couple of days as far as new signings, when it comes to as far as new deals. I want to touch on my Las Vegas Aces roster, and something big happened. And that big thing happened. Sinead Carter. Now, if you don't remember, Sinead Carter, she was with Chicago Sky about 2 years ago. And that was actually a big game that happened between us and them. Asia scored the game winner. But before that, Sinead Carter had actually shot the shot to make it a tie ball game. This is a bucket getter. And you remember what I talked about with getting Barker? Barker's probably going to come off the bench because Miss Sinead Carter, she can play the 2 and the 3, which she probably gonna play the 3 because Jackie Young will be playing the 2. And by the way, that's another thing. We re-signed all our key people: Jackie Young, Chelsea Gray, Asia Wilson, Dana Evans. We re-signed Jewel Lloyd, White Mamba. Those of you who don't know, Nalasia Smith, who was a key piece, because we needed another big to be able to rebound and defend the paint. Y'all know who I'm about to talk about. And I'm not. She could my behind. I know. But Kristen Bell, I just think we could get somebody better. I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying? That's just me personally. I think we could get somebody better, but we'll see. She might not make the main roster, but we will see. Hear me good, and when I say this, oh yeah, we got Brianna Turner too. I'm sorry, I had to double check that too. She was solid for Indiana Fever. We coming for that 4th championship, and ain't nothing y'all can do about it. I think there's gonna be some good teams out there. Like I said, Atlanta Dream gonna be really excellent. There's a few other teams out there. But Aces, we coming for y'all. We gonna repeat. I said it here, we gonna repeat. Ain't no reason why we can't. We got everything we need. Now, I know some questions around the center position, but I think we gonna do all right. We gonna do all right. Aces. Ain't no reason why we ain't repeating. Ain't no reason. Ain't no reason. And we gonna come back here in the next couple of months. And we gonna, you know, if y'all keep coming to me, we gonna talk about it. But them aces, we gonna come back for it. We gonna come back for it. We gonna raise that trophy. You feel me? But hey, that's all I want to say on that. But yeah, man, this is gonna be an excellent season. This is gonna be the season where some of y'all that may not watch the W, if you didn't watch it last year, you better watch it this year, because I'm telling you, the guard position and a lot of players. Listen, it's gonna be must-see TV. The Atlanta Dream sold out their tickets already halfway through because the Angel Reese trade comes to Atlanta. By the way, Atlanta really got everything going on out there right now. You know, I don't mess with them dirty birds. We're gonna talk about NFL on another day. But WNBA is gonna be much watched TV for even more now. And I'm telling y'all better tap in right now. I've been posting on IG, Twitter. Y'all better tap into the W, y'all. Y'all better tap into the W, man. But we gonna close out right there, man. Like I said, it was an excellent draft. It was really fun to watch. One thing that I would say before closing that they do need to add tweak is that I like I will say some positive. I like the fact that they get it out of there with them picks. I think it's like maybe a few minutes and they get it out with picks. What I don't like is when they get to the second round, they remove themselves from the podium. I believe these players should still hear their name at the podium. Even if they may not be there in attendance, they should still be at the podium. By the way, also let me add this. Why was Warrior Harmon not invited to the draft? Y'all wrong for that. That was really messed up. Come on. But I really feel as though that should be a thing that should still be good. These players work hard, just like any other athlete, and they should have the opportunity to still hear their name at the podium. Even if they may not be physically there, they may be at home at family. And that's another thing. They need to act, if the people allow them to, or the families are okay with it, have cameras there, like the NFL draft or the NBA draft. Like, have cameras there. We want to see their reactions too, even if they're not there in attendance at the facility where the draft is at. That's going to bring even more storylines and more things and more cool things to see. You know, seeing their family reactions, seeing their live emotions. Like, we need to see that too. Like, involve that. We want to see the cameras at their homes, or maybe they may be at a bar, wherever they at. We want to see that if they're not at the draft, whether it's second or third round. So WNBA, add that too, man. I definitely add that too. But those are just some of my takeaways from the draft ending. But like I said, tap in, man. Listen, there's no excuse why people that love basketball should not tap into WNBA. I don't care. Listen, the wonderful thing about, to me, is the skillful level and the excitement and the players. Like, the storylines have to be talked about a lot more. There needs to be a place to where that happens. I'm not just talking about because of Ozzy Flood and Paige relationship. I'm talking about just who they are as people. You know, there's still things that we don't get to learn. And that's why I think what makes social media so awesome. Because if you do follow them on social media, you see a little bit of their personality, what they post, what they allow us to see. Or maybe if they're on certain podcasts, whatever the case may be, it's awesome to see that side of them outside of just the athlete itself. So you need that. You do need that when it comes to sports, in my opinion. But just going in, man, this is going to be exciting to watch. I can't wait. I am always checking my phone in between breaks at work, or whenever I'm doing things on my free time. Like, I'm a huge sports fan. Y'all going to see that. And I welcome y'all into my journey of this sports channel. Digital Sports Takes, man. I definitely want to grow this channel. My goal is to get into 100 subscribers. To you guys, definitely go like and subscribe. Let's grow this channel. Let's keep it going. But yeah, man, if you love sports like I do, let's tap in. Your boy Denzel is out.